Sword Maiden is arguably the most beloved character in this anime series. Her every move exudes an aura of divinity. She is the one who defeated the Demon Lord, but was ambushed and captured by goblins. She was subjected to their torture for 3 long days and nights, and was used as a tool for their reproduction. Despite her immense power, she was too afraid to confront the goblins on her own, so she enlisted the help of Goblin Slayer and his team to eradicate the goblins in the underground city of water. The Goblin Slayer team embarked on another journey, and the ugly, big-eyed monster in front of them was the legendary creature of chaos, the Eye of the Beholder. However, it is under the protection of a deity and its formidable strength cannot be underestimated. It seemed that the Eye of the Beholder was guarding something of utmost importance within the room. The team gathered outside the door, strategizing their plan of attack. They knew that as long as the Eye monster didn't lay eyes on them, they would be safe. However, if it caught sight of them, it would instantly kill its target. As the group struggled to come up with a plan, Goblin Slayer had an idea. He had Elf Archer act as bait to draw the Eye monster's attention, while Dwarf cast a sleep spell to limit the monster's abilities. Then, Goblin Slayer opened a bag filled with dust, which he released in large quantities. Just as Dwarf's sleep magic was about to wear off, Elf Archer quickly fired an arrow that hit the Eye monster. Meanwhile, Lizard Man summoned his dragon-tooth soldiers to charge forward and distract the monster. Finally, Yuri unleashed a holy light spell. The startled Eye monster immediately launched a laser attack, which triggered a dust explosion. When the smoke cleared, the Eye monster had lost all signs of life, and just like that, the powerful creature known as the Eye of the Beholder was easily dealt with by Goblin Slayer's cunning plan. But the question remained, why did the Eye monster have to guard the mirror so closely? Yuri was curious and walked up to the mirror, touching it with her finger. The mirror immediately reacted, and inside, they saw scenes from the life of the goblins. It was easy to guess that this was their lair, and the wooden ship they had seen before was built here. Someone was planning all of this, using the magic mirror to constantly transport goblins and having the Eye monster protect it. Their goal was to conquer the city. The immediate task at hand was to dismantle the mirror and destroy their transmission channel. Just then, Elf Archer heard the sound of goblin footsteps coming from the ground. There was no doubt that the goblins were coming to take the mirror. The 5-person team could only resist as much as they could. Elf Archer first took care of the charging goblins in the front. However, there were too many goblins, and the team's output could not keep up with their speed. The Goblin King, who had lost an eye, also returned to the fight. Seeing the situation, Goblin Slayer had to charge forward into battle. At that moment, Lizard Man and Yuri successfully dismantled the mirror. Goblin Slayer saw the opportunity, and had Yuri unleash a holy light. The 5-person team successfully escaped, and the goblins' secret base was destroyed. Once again, they had thwarted the monster's plot. Sword Maiden is the second strongest adventurer in the world, but her past experiences have left her extremely traumatized and unable to fully recover. Every night, she dreams of those events and struggles to fall asleep, let alone fight goblins. Now, she's tasked with protecting the city and its people from monster attacks, but no one knows about her inner turmoil. The prolonged suppression has pushed her to the brink of collapse, and she wants everyone to understand her pain and the evil of the goblins. Intentionally leaving the magic mirror with teleportation capabilities under the city, she allows a large number of goblins to come through and harm humans, causing many innocent civilians to be sacrificed. Fortunately, Goblin Slayer and his team successfully found the location of the magic mirror and eliminated all the goblins in the ruins. Being experienced in battle, Goblin Slayer immediately noticed that someone had deliberately set up the mirror. When he returns to the palace, he directly questions Sword Maiden about whether she placed the magic mirror there intentionally, but he does not blame her, because he grew up witnessing goblins' cruelty. So he understood Sword Maiden very well. When Sword Maiden asks if he will come to see her again in the future, Goblin Slayer says he will not. Nevertheless, he added that if goblins showed up, she could summon him, and he would take care of them. After all, he was the Goblin Slayer. Goblin Slayer, having completed his mission in the Water City, went to check his sister Akari's farm for any goblin tracks, as he usually did. However, in the next moment, his worst fears were realized as countless goblin footprints appeared on the ground. He immediately went to find Akari and advised her to leave the area quickly, but much to his surprise, Akari decided to fight alongside Goblin Slayer. She didn't want him to be homeless again, so even though Goblin Slayer knew she was being stubborn, he ultimately agreed to her choice. Continuing on, Goblin Slayer went to the Adventurers Guild for help. He went straight to Spearman Warrior and told all the adventurers present that goblins would invade the area that night. However, the adventurers didn't take him seriously, thinking that goblins were weak and not worth their time. It wasn't until Goblin Slayer revealed that the leader was the Goblin King that the adventurers' faces changed. They knew that the Goblin King could rival even platinum-ranked adventurers, meaning that Goblin Slayer alone couldn't defeat him. Goblin Slayer asked for their help, but the adventurers still didn't think it was worth their time. Spearman Warrior even claimed to be a Mithril-ranked adventurer and demanded a written commission from the Adventurers Guild before he would assist. Other adventurers followed suit, and even Goblin Slayer accepted their demands. Then he said he was willing to give everything, even his own life. Eventually, Spearman Warrior was moved by Goblin Slayer's sincerity and he said he would buy him a drink after the job was done. The other adventurers were also moved by Goblin Slayer's actions and expressed their willingness to help. The guild manager then issued a commission, offering a gold coin as a reward for every goblin killed. Everyone was excited, and the mission to hunt the goblins officially began. On the other side, in the goblin camp, a few goblins detected the human movement and immediately reported it to the Goblin King. The Goblin King was prepared and ordered an attack. Hearing the distant sounds, the adventurers on the farm quickly prepared for battle. As the goblin warriors advanced, a shield-wielding goblin suddenly collapsed in front of them. It turned out that it was the dwarf and the witch who had cast spells on them. The battle began, and the goblin archers and shamans were shot down by arrows. The time had come for the adventurers to make their entrance. The Holy Knight wielded a large sword and cut down goblins one by one, while the other adventurers were not far behind. The Spearman Warrior easily took out the surrounding goblins with his long spear. In response to this situation, the Goblin King issued orders again and mobilized the Goblin Wolf Cavalry, intending to use a surprise attack to end the battle quickly. However, this was all within the adventurers' expectations. The next second, the adventurers raised sharpened giant wooden stakes and disposed of the Goblin Cavalry, which had fallen into their trap. However, this was all part of Goblin Slayer's tactical plan. When the Goblin King learned that his cavalry had been wiped out by the human army, he became furious and ordered his Goblin General to join the battle. At this point, the people still didn't know that a great danger was approaching, as they were still chasing smaller goblins. But when they turned around, they saw their companion being slaughtered by the Goblin General, and they were immediately frightened. Hearing the screams not far away, they knew that something was wrong. When they turned around, they saw numerous giant goblins. The battle was about to begin. As the Goblin King realized that the odds were against him, he abandoned his tribe and began to flee for his life. However, Goblin Slayer had been waiting for him and immediately charged towards the king. Their weapons clashed violently in the air, but with his morale low, the Goblin King was quickly wounded by Goblin Slayer's sword, causing his crown to fall to the ground. However, the Goblin King was much stronger than Goblin Slayer, and as their duel continued, Goblin Slayer began to fall behind. After being knocked down once again, Goblin Slayer was unable to stand up. The Goblin King laughed and started to crush Goblin Slayer's head underfoot. But just as he was about to finish him off, two invisible walls blocked his attack. Yuri had arrived and cast a magic shield to protect Goblin Slayer. It turned out that this was all part of Goblin Slayer's plan. Yuri's holy barrier spell continued to crush the Goblin King, causing him to become increasingly pained and even beg for mercy. The young priestess remembered what Goblin Slayer had said before: only dead goblins are truly safe. This time, she didn't hesitate to act. She continued to use her magic to crush the Goblin King until he died. On the other side, the Spearman Warrior and the Paladin fought like gods possessed, easily killing even the giant Goblin General. The large-scale battle between humans and goblins had come to an end. Until dawn, all of the goblins had been slain, and Yuri had brought Goblin Slayer to join everyone else. The adventurers returned to the tavern to celebrate and enjoy the large sum of rewards they had earned. Each adventurer basked in the joy of their victory. At this moment, Yuri asked the question that had been weighing on her mind. What did Goblin Slayer look like under his helmet? Upon her strong request, Goblin Slayer finally took off his helmet, and everyone gathered around to see his true appearance. However, this anime never revealed what he looked like. This anime is called Goblin Slayer and is a must-watch for fans of dark fantasy and action genres. The first season of this anime has ended. If you enjoyed it, please